Joining me now is Dara Okoudjou, who is the CEO of MFS Africa. Thank you very much for your time. Dara, let's just start with MFS Africa and your ambitions as I suppose if I look at you as a digital payments hub, would that be the correct terminology?
Yes, indeed. Thanks very much, Brian. Our ambition is, and we've stated this publicly, is to connect all African countries to our digital network of networks to make sure that if you can call, you should be able to pay. I mean, will this play out? Well, today, if you pick up your phone from Monrovia in Liberia and you need to call someone in Lusaka, Zambia, you don't even think about it. Well, we want the same to be true if you need to pay someone, whether this is a person-to-person transaction or a person-to-business, whether this is as a result of trade. We just want to make sure that there is always a digital pathway between two individuals or two businesses or individual and businesses, including governments where it makes sense. So that's what we try to build into the MFS Africa Hub.
How do you fit into the finance ecosystem when it comes to the many, many banking operations out there?
Yeah, I think we started completely outside of banking, I would say, like mobile money. Our core started around connectivity between mobile money platforms, right? So if you're using M-Pesa in Kenya, you're sending money to MTN mobile money in Uganda, you switch this from MFS Africa. If you on Move in Togo and you're sending money to Airtel in Niger, you use MFS Africa. But as the network grows, it's also becoming more and more relevant to different people, including the banking sector. EcoBank is now one of our largest clients or partner on the hub, where EcoBank customers, but also whether they are consumers, on the retail side, but also businesses, are able to transact through the hub with other businesses or other consumers. So I think just like the whole fintech in Africa, which as opposed to what happened in probably the global north, when it was about disrupting banks, in Africa, there was not much to disrupt, in the banking sector. It was so shallow anyway, in terms of, the penetration. So it's really more of building something of substance, something of scale that will eventually, people will use it without even thinking about it. The same way we don't actually think so much about what goes into making a phone call like the one you and I are having right now. We didn't pause and wondering how it's going to work. We just assume it's going to work. Well, we want the same to happen for payment in Africa.
Sorry, let's talk about now Maviance and the deal. I went onto your website and there are a number of different partnerships and investments that you are going into across the African continent. Let's talk specifically about Maviance.
So Maviance is indeed special, and it's part of something we call MFS Africa Frontiers, which we started in 2018, which will see us complement or add investment to the commercial partnerships that we have in place. And this will be typically in areas where we believe it can accelerate our own strategy, or it will accelerate the emergence of a champion in a particular use case. So in the first example of this has been Bionic, where our conversation started on an investment, but ended up in a full acquisition because it complemented so well our own ambition for the SME and Bionic's team ambition in growing across Africa. So that conversation moved quickly into an acquisition. We did Numida earlier this year, which is a minority investment, and that is really focused around leveraging Numida's team digital lending capability on the MFS Africa platform for small businesses across the continent. Maviance is a bit special in the sense that it helps us in three ways, really, as MFS Africa. First of all, it helps us deepen our position in a region that is kind of underpenetrated, and Cameroon in particular. It's actually very important when it comes to cross-border payment in Africa, because with Nigeria, it forms the largest corridor on the continent. $2.5 billion moves from Cameroon to Nigeria every year. out of the $25 billion that Nigeria receives in P2P. So it's a substantial piece of the ecosystem in Africa, in which we were always interested in going a little bit deeper and a little bit, extend our network or put our hub to use for small and medium businesses in that country, which Maviance is helping us to. The other thing is to cover the region. As you know, the CIMAC region is also slightly behind its sister, the XOF zone around Senegal in West Africa. And we believe by having a strong team, by partnering with a strong team locally in Cameroon, our ability to extend our network into Central African Republic, into Chad, is a little bit better than trying to do that all from Johannesburg. Last but not least is also that Maviance is already serving a wide range of businesses in the country, small businesses, but also large businesses. And those are typical businesses that we believe will benefit from cross-border capability. So Maviance service to them right now is very localized, it's a domestic service, but we believe we can add the cross-border capability to this and benefit those businesses to fully integrate them in the regional ecosystem.
Now, Dare, we've obviously seen a huge boost to the digital ecosystem globally. This must have also had the same impact on your businesses and your partners across the board. Obviously, this now in our COVID-19 reality and beyond. Can you give me a sense of the growth that you've seen in this period?
Yeah, it's very interesting. April was our first COVID to COVID comparison, right? So we obviously saw a huge boost, like many other people, in end of March last year, April, May, the second quarter, and for some of our payment corridors, we were looking at more than 300% growth, and overall for the company it has been more than 150% throughout the year. Now, when we compare April to April, we're still in the region of 100% growth. So, which is something that we thought may happen, but still good to see it happening, which is habit formed during the crisis has the potential to outlive the crisis. And we're seeing that the move to digital, the convenience that it brings, the real-time aspect of the service that we provide, and really much cost-effective across the most transparency, all those things that we knew were inherent to digital payments. When people were kind of forced into it, even given the choice now, people kind of stick to it. So we're still seeing, April to April and in COVID situation, a pretty healthy growth. And I think we are not alone in that.
And given that our timelines have now become shorter and shorter, generally when I'm sitting with a CEO, a captain of industry, I'll say, well, what is your 5-year vision? I'm going to say to you, what is your 1-year vision for MFS Africa from this point?
I think I would say 3 things. Number 1 is to hold the course. Our course is, again, to build this network into a continental, some sort of clearing house to make sure that, money can come in one side and come in on the other side. That means we have to go beyond the obvious countries. We have to extend this to places like Djibouti, Sao Tome and Principe. We have to go into typically smaller countries, more complicated geographies. So I think we have to hold that. And I think a year from now, we'll probably add, 5 to 10 countries to the 35-ish that we have right now. The second thing is really to anchor our commitment to the SME market. We still believe that the beauty of this will be to extend market to the average entrepreneur in Africa. That if you starting a business in Rwanda, your market does not have to be Rwanda. It could be the 1.2 billion people in Africa. And if you find a way to attract them, how to get paid should not be a problem. So I think this year we'll see us really kind of doubling down on that. And then the third one, it will be, partnership like we did with Maviance now. I still believe that having built this platform, it is also part of the opportunity, but also almost the obligation for us to accelerate the growth of other entrepreneurs around the continent. When you know how complicated it is to get funding in Africa, I think part of the problem has to do with culture, part of the problem has to do with asymmetry of, appreciation of risk. And I think operating on the continent gives us a bit of an unfair advantage to be a better investor in other companies on the continent than someone coming from Silicon Valley or London or Singapore. So I think, but if you and I talk again a year from now, I expect us to have made meaningful progress along those three lines.
I look forward to catching up a year from now and to track that progress, which I'm sure you're going to achieve and some. Okoudjou, thank you so much for joining me, the CEO of MFS Africa, here on the Nielsen Network.